Hello, everyone. This is Austin from Robliss. Today, I'm going to be joined by Raini Pachak. He's a 13-year fruitarian, and I'm really excited to talk to him. So, yeah, we'll get to it. All right, I am so happy to be here with Raini Pachak. Did I get that right?
Paycheck.
Yeah. Okay, great. And he has been on a fruit-based diet for over 13 years.
Yeah.
And yeah.
14 now officially.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to have you here. Hello, Raini.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Why don't you start by telling me how you got into veganism? Like, what was your background like?
When I was about 18 is when I got into veganism, but it was before then. I had a vegan friend, so I knew a little bit about it. And like my sister was vegan for a few years. I knew like a little bit about it, but it wasn't actually until I was probably 16 years old or something, and I took hallucinogenic mushrooms, and had an experience that just kind of made me realize that we're living a very crazy, insane lifestyle, disconnected from nature and eating the wrong things, and spending our lives doing things that are unintelligent and downright insane. So
Yeah.
one of the things I changed was my diet, and I've been on a fruit-based diet since 18, but I actually wasn't vegan immediately. I was eating honey for about a year or so, and bee pollen and bee products. But yeah, so I had this interesting experience, and soon after having that experience, I kind of synchronistically came across information on raw foods, whether it be like a newspaper article or like a book that was just happened to be the only book at a yard sale that was actually at a house that I used to live in. So it's just like one thing right after the other, just like got me into raw foods. Then I started working at a raw food restaurant, and rest is history.
Amazing. Yeah, I can relate to the psychedelic aspect to finding raw foods. And how old are you now?
Now I'm 32 years old. Yeah.
32.
Just turned 32.
And where did you first hear about the raw foods? Was it like a book, or you said like a newspaper article?
Yeah. I was in high school, and one of the things we had to do in one of the classes was open a newspaper and just find an article that we wanted to write like a few paragraphs on or whatever. And I just opened a newspaper, and the first article was an article called "From Earth to Mouth" about a raw food restaurant that was in town. And I think that was the first time I really like learned about raw foods. And then I also was at a yard sale, and the only book in a book in a the only book that was left over, all the rest of the books had been sold. There was like a box of books. The only one left over was a Sarma and Matt from Pure Food and Wine's raw food book. It's like a really gourmet recipe book, but it had a lot of great information in there as well. I don't think I made a single one of the recipes. In fact, I don't think I've ever followed a single recipe in my 14 years, but I just have some weird aversion towards raw food recipes or recipes in general. But so that was like my main education. Then I went to the raw food restaurant, and there was lots of education there. And I pretty quickly started working at the restaurant and learned a lot from this raw food restaurant. It's especially back then, it was like a Mediterranean style raw food restaurant, lots of Lebanese food and stuff like that.
Wow.
And maybe that's not Mediterranean, but Lebanese and sort of Middle Eastern food. And there's two sides of the raw food world. There's the gourmet food, raw supplements and all that. And then there's like the fruitarian side. And it wasn't for probably another 2 years that I actually learned about fruitarianism and fruit-based lifestyle. I was like heavily caught up in all the David Wolf stuff and the supplements and powders and potions and stuff like that for a good 2 years or so.
Right. I think focusing on whole foods is definitely something that a lot of people can forget about. It's so
Mm-hmm.
important.
Yeah, it's the way to go. You don't realize it until, I mean, like when I went raw foodist, I was coming from a standard American diet and I was like, wow, I feel amazing. This is what life is supposed to feel like. I found it, you know. So I
Yeah.
always had this like idea in my head that like something's missing. Like this isn't the way life's supposed to be. Life, like I always described like to my girlfriend when I was 14 years old that I had this like gray area in my brain that was like unactivated, or like, I knew there was something there that I just wasn't able to grasp at. And it wasn't until I found raw foods, and hallucinogens helped too, but mostly
Right.
raw foods just like made me feel like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to feel. This is amazing. And then fruit on top of that was like, no, this is how I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Tony Wright talks about, like activating that dormant part of our brain.
Right.
Like that's
And I
so
think diet alone can help a lot. I mean, fruit in general can help a lot, but I think there's even more to it beyond diet for sure.
definitely. Um,
Activating that.
so who else like inspired you along your journey? Was one of the bigger like raw food people?
Hmm. In the beginning, it was like David Wolf. Like I just thought he was amazing, and now I think the opposite of him. I think he's kind of a douchebag, but
Yeah.
um, David Wolf, Matt Monarch, all those people back then. Like I went to Raw Spirit Fest. That's what it was called.
Mhm.
And I saw all the people, and like Doug Graham was there, and like I watched him. I thought he was interesting. And I actually told myself, I was like, one day I'm going to be fruitarian. I knew nothing about it, but it just made sense, like, I don't know. It was probably that part of me that just saw everything we're doing is crazy, and like we should be more natural. We should be eating like the chimps and the bonobos. It's
Right.
just like intuitively like, oh yeah, duh, I should do that eventually. I knew nothing about it, but so I saw Doug Graham talking and I was just like, oh yeah, cool. I didn't think anything of it. I was just going over to David Wolf's booth and eating his raw chocolate and stuff like that. And it wasn't like two years later, it wasn't until 2 years later that I actually like started experimenting with cooked foods again, because I went down to Uruguay with my friend and I started to just like eat vegan food with him because he was vegan and he didn't want to just like eat salad all day and stuff. So I went out to restaurants with him and stuff. And this is the first time where I experienced like why or what foods were the worst for me and what foods were not so bad for me as far as cooked food goes, like what I function on and why. And this was about the time where I started learning about or seeing Durian Ryder and Freely start to talk about carb the fuck up. And
Yeah.
they had a pretty big instrumental role in like realizing that, okay, like carbs, even cooked carbs, like I was realizing that I felt worse on cooked carbs than I did on, say, like steamed broccoli or something, but I just didn't have the energy with steamed broccoli to actually be athletic or have any sort of energy at all. So it's like realizing like, okay, cooked carbs or carbs in general are better, but what's better than cooked carbs? Fruit. And so it was like, I think Durian Ryder specifically had a pretty big impact on me back then. This was probably, oh man, I don't know. I was like 20, 21 years old or something.
Definitely.
This was back when Durian Ryder was like totally different, completely
Yeah.
different person. When he was raw, like he was so peaceful and like spoke it like, he's just so different now. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like night and day, the
Yeah.
the change. That's crazy. So do you feel like how has your diet like changed over the years, like through all the trial and error? Like how do you
Mhm.
eat now based on or in contrast to how you started?
How I started was very high fat, lots of, gourmet raw stuff, lots of nuts and seeds and stuff like that. And then I switched to fruit-based. Like I learned about raw foods through gourmet and like in a raw food restaurant. So like when I am eating raw, but I want to eat something heavier, or like, I want to stay raw, but I don't want to go to cooked foods, I'll have like a salad with like cashew based dressing or something that's like heavy, fatty, probably not optimal, but I'll eat that. There are some times where I will eat steamed broccoli or something like that, and there's been some times where we're traveling that I'll try new vegan foods. Like for example, I've tried the Beyond Burger. I like to experiment and see, because like I feel like I'm a vegan above all. Like I don't beat myself up anymore if I eat cooked foods or whatever. So sometimes I will do that just as an experience. But like I like, a part of me just doesn't want to, because I just feel so much better on fruit. And it takes me days after eating cooked food, sometimes a week or more, to start feeling that like euphoria from fruit. So I really also, I'm just trying my best to stay on fruit. But if I do slip up to cooked foods, it's usually steamed broccoli or like a raw high fat salad or something like that.
Right. So nowadays you would you say you follow more like an 80-10-10 style, like very low fat diet?
Yeah, we have a couple avocado trees on a piece of land that my wife's father, owns, and so we have free avocados. So I eat quite a bit of avocados. I usually pick them, and then like they'll all be ripened. Like usually, like I'll have like a bunch of avocados every 2 weeks or something like that, because they take a while to ripen off the tree. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm pretty high fat, but usually I'm really just trying to eat like all the fruit during the day, and then maybe a salad at night with, you know, usually I'm actually trying to do a lot more green smoothies and stuff, because if I have salad, I feel like it needs some sort of salt or fat or on something on it to
Mhm.
make it more palatable. So yeah, but I really just try fruit during the day, and then like a green smoothie or some sort of salad at night.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not good at answering that question because it changes constantly. Like I'm
Right.
really not very perfectly consistent for a long period of time with like being low fat or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
I think it's a seasonal thing too. Like even the orangutans,
mhm,
once it's durian season, they're going crazy. But then and when it's
right,
not, then they go more on the greens and stuff. So,
right. Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
what do you think
If it
about
was
like?
during,
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, if it was ever during season in Brazil, I would be high fat all the time.
What do you
That
think
would
about
no
like
joke.
nuts and seeds?
I think they're not a bad thing. I think they're not optimal. I think if you're going to eat them, you'd be smart to soak them, because I don't think they're very good for digestion, and they are very high fat. Um, as long as I have like a metabolic rate, like as long as I don't know. I want to. My honest opinion is I don't want to be eating them ever, honestly, because I know I don't feel as good as them with them as eating very low fat, like keeping it coconuts or avocado if I am going to eat some fat
Mhm.
occasionally. But at the same time, like I feel like many people, they have these ideas about foods, and those ideas become more toxic than the actual food themselves. So they'll beat
Right.
themselves up if they eat, high fat or nuts and seeds or whatever, a little bit of cooked food. And then like that stress is 10 times more toxic to your body than the actual food itself. So I don't like
Absolutely.
talking trash on nuts and seeds or anything like that. But I also, yeah, I feel they're not optimal for sure.
Awesome. So you're living in Brazil now, and
Mhm.
when did you start like traveling? I know you were in like Borneo, I believe. Like, what was your like travel history like?
Um, so my godfather owned a place in Uruguay, and that was like a 100-acre farm and
Wow.
like organic sort of woofing experience, work trade kind of thing that he would bring people to. And sometimes I would go down there. I went down there 3 times, or 4 times. I think 4 times a total of about a year. And so spent a good amount of time in Uruguay, and then a good amount of time in Sedona, Arizona, and a good amount of time in Idaho. All of them just doing work trading for various people.
Cool.
And then when I met Anna, we went traveling to Thailand, um, Philippines, Malaysia, and Nepal.
Oh, okay.
That was like a few month trip. That was really nice. And then we went to Peru for a Peru Fruit Fest. We also go to New York Woodstock Fruit Fest, of course, all the time. And then once we started this documentary that I'm working on, we went to Australia, Borneo, Hawaii. We've also been to Hawaii a bunch. And let's see, Spain, England, Canary Islands, which is also part of Spain.
Wow.
And there's one more. Bunch of places in the US to film. And then the Grand Cayman Islands and Peru. No, and Panama for a moment. But
Wow.
yeah.
Very cool. And what could you tell people about, like, people who've only had like the standard fruit in the supermarket compared to like Borneo fruit? Like, how could you describe Borneo fruit?
Yeah, I mean, if you've only ever had American apples and bananas and stuff, it's just a whole different world. It's like comparing it's not like comparing apples and oranges, right? It's like comparing flour, like just wheat flour, to like the best piece of pizza you've ever had out of the best wheat flour, cooked, fermented properly. It's just a bad example, but it's like it's not the same thing at all. Like if you're eating apples in the US versus durian in Malaysia or something, it's like I posted recently that fruit has more complex biochemistry than it's more complex in its biochemistry and its flavors and everything than the most expensive 5-star 8-course meal that you could get at a 3-star Michelin restaurant or whatever. It's just the kind of experience when eating a Malaysian durian, for example. You just can't, it's like orgasmic. You can't you can't stay in this I don't know. You takes you somewhere else. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's just incredible.
Some 5-star chef could spend like 4 days on a dinner or something, and it would never compare to these things.
Yeah, like these what's it called? Creme brulee or whatever. Like
Creme
these
brulee,
custardy, creme brulee. These custardy, like fatty things with their perfect ratios of that they're always looking for, that you might spend like $80 on or something for a few bites. It's nothing compared to the million different types of durian, let alone like just one bite of durian is better than the best dessert that anybody's ever created and paid for or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. And then that's just durian, right? There's 1,000 fruits in Malaysia alone that you can find that you'll never find anywhere else, and they're all amazing. There's not just sweet ones, there's dabai, which is like olive mashed potatoes or something.
That's like my favorite. It tastes like so crazy.
Yeah, we ate too much of it. We were so obsessed with it. We bought like kilos of it, and just me and Anna and Lindsay from Year of the Durian, and Richard and her friend Bianca just ate kilos for dinner, and like Anna and I didn't even want to look at it. I mean, I'm sure I'd eat it again, but like when you just overdo it with something, you just can't even. But it's amazing enough to where you want to overdo on yourself on it. That's the best thing I can say.
Supposedly it's fattier than avocado. It's like the most fatty fruit.
I believe it. I mean, I don't think it's fattier than for example, palm fruit or something like that, but it's Because if you bite into like a palm fruit, it's like you're biting into straight butter or something like that. But
Oh, okay. Um,
yeah, it could be. I don't think it is.
yeah, I was gonna ask you, how has your diet changed, like from when you lived in like Utah, for example, to now living in Brazil?
Hmm. When I was living in Utah, I ate a lot of bananas, lots of apples and citrus, lots of oranges. And now I'm eating mostly, I mean, it's very seasonal, but the majority of what I eat are mangoes, pineapple, um, atemoya, custard apple, or sugar apple. Um, I mean, a bunch of different types of mangoes, papayas. The quality is just what has really gone up. The variety is much better, but the quality of fruits is just like 1,000 times better than in the US for sure.
Yeah. And is like the price, like the fruit prices, is it similar to Asia or is it like more expensive?
I think it's cheaper than at least some places in Asia. Like Thailand, I think has gotten quite expensive,
Yeah.
just from all the tourism and stuff. But I think it is. We go to the fruit and vegetable distribution center every 2 or 3 weeks to pick up boxes and boxes of fruit. We're actually going tomorrow morning, but let's say a box of mangoes, 20 kilos of mangoes might be anywhere between $7 and $15.
Wow.
Um, or yeah, $7 and $15. Uh, 15 to 20 kilos of bananas, like Cavendish variety. I think it's Cavendish. It might be a slightly, they call them katuha here. I mean, there's a bunch of different types of bananas, but the cheapest type of banana is maybe uh, $5 to $7 for 15 or 20 kilos.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I'd say it's comparable to anywhere else in the world as far as inexpensive fruits go. And we're actually pretty far down south and high elevation, so they're shipping almost all the fruit from somewhere else, sometimes even from the top of the country. So if you're in the top of the country, I mean, not only can you get fruit just everywhere, there's like jackfruit growing and mangoes growing inside the city that you can just pick.
Mhm.
I'm sure it's a lot cheaper in the markets up there.
Okay. And like how is the greens quality there? Is it like pretty good?
It's not bad. The variety is, I wish there was more variety. Actually, there's plenty of lettuces. It's just my favorite spinach, baby spinach that you can get in the US. You can't find that anywhere here. They just have this like really large leaf spinach that's not good. It's definitely a different variety. Um, it's, but there's like American kale is starting to come here, the curly type of kale. They've got collard greens, which they call kale or colby.
Mhm.
Um, Lots of types of lettuces. Um, it's not bad, but I mean, it's not easy. I'm sure it's all sprayed. You know, it's that you can get organic, but
Yeah.
I haven't really looked into it enough about how organic their organic is. You know, because a lot of organic is actually sprayed with pesticides, organic pesticides that are, in many cases, actually more toxic to the human body than conventional pesticides.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't worry about it too much, but I probably should because we have a garden and we're starting to grow our own greens as well.
Great. And
Yeah.
I heard a few people say I have a friend in Bahia, and
Hmm.
he said it's kind of difficult to get around without learning Portuguese. Do you speak Portuguese?
Yeah, I speak. It's just I should be much more fluent than I am because Anna and I are always speaking English together. We're just like always together, and so we're speaking English the vast majority of the time. But yeah, I can get around and do pretty much anything with my level of Portuguese.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I guess you've lived there for, you said 6 years?
yeah, six, almost seven.
Cool.
Yeah.
And let's see, what's your favorite fruit?
Oh man, out of any fruit, it would probably be durian. but if it was something that I had to like eat every day, and like I couldn't be very athletically active, I don't think, on durian, because it's just so high fat, and I like to be very athletically active. Um, so it'd probably be something like mangosteen, or custard apples, really, or fruit, or sugar apple.
Yeah.
I really like the Annona family, but I also like mangosteen, for example. Is if I mean, it's really expensive here, but in Asia, for example, you can get it for like $1 a kilo or something. And
Yeah.
if I could live on that, I would probably be very happy. It's just very high. I like high water content fruits.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I don't know. It's a hard question
It's
to
a hard
answer.
question. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about vegetable? Do you have a favorite vegetable?
Let's see. What do I buy? I mean, when I think of the vegetables that I buy, it's usually non-sweet fruits, like bell pepper, tomato, cucumber.
Right.
Um, but like a true vegetable would probably be greens. I mean, I like broccoli, but I think it's hard to digest, and it has a lot of sulfur in it or something that doesn't make me feel great. So I'd probably just go with um, baby spinach or something. Romaine lettuce is good.
Um, what do you think about juicing? Because I know you
Oh
do
no,
like some.
celery.
Oh yeah,
Celery.
that's the right answer. There you go.
That is the right answer right there. Yeah. I was trying to think about it. No, I like celery a lot. Yeah.
And what do you think about juicing?
I think it's all right. For, I've never been on a really extended juice fast. When I first got into raw foods, I did a 14-day juice fast, and I think I was just eating too often, or maybe some of the fruit was unripe or something that I got. Like I could see my teeth were like becoming translucent. I think I had like lost the enamel on them or something
Oh, wow.
after 10 or 14 days. And so I've never done a long juice fast since then. I think it was just because I was eating too often and wasn't giving my enamel time to grow back. Um, but I mean, I have a lot of friends that have had amazing experiences on juice fast, but at the same time, I think they probably could have had a similar experience going like Fruitarian, you know. But I don't know. I think some people have just, it depends on who it is. Some people seem to have issues after a fruit fast that they can't get back to digesting food, or it messes up their digestion or their system in some way.
Mhm.
So I don't feel like super comfortable saying that I think it's completely safe. But personally, I enjoy smoothies more than juices. Just, I mean, obviously, we're supposed to be consuming fiber and stuff, and smoothies are easier to make. You don't have to clean the juicer or strain the fiber out or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like juices. I'm not one to like say no, you should never have juices because doesn't have the fiber or whatever. Yeah,
Okay. So
no dogma here.
I know. The because I know you do some green juices and stuff. Do you feel like it's better to have like a green juice than to like eat a hard to digest vegetable, for example?
Um, it's hard to say. I mean, I think it mostly depends on what your lifestyle looks like, or how active you are, or how you want to feel. Like, because like each food has like a different experience to it, right? Like if you want to chomp on a head of broccoli or something, maybe you're craving that feeling of that food, wanting, something to really chew on, or celery, for example.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe that's what you're looking for. I don't know. I'm trying to look at like out of the box, like not just what that food is going to do for you inside your body, but like mentally too. Like, maybe you just want that experience, and so maybe that's better for you than eating a juice. Or maybe you want to be able to feel really light, you want to go for a run later, so maybe that juice is going to be better than that head of broccoli.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talked before a little bit about supplementing. And
Yeah.
so what's your experience with supplementing, and do you still do it?
My first years of being on a fruit-based diver, I did not supplement anything, and I got a blood test about 4 years ago, so about 10 years into the diet, and wasn't deficient in anything. My B12 was a little low, so I did, just to be safe, start supplementing B12 occasionally. I did take another blood test maybe a year or two after that, and I just never looked at the results for some reason. I don't know why, I just never looked at the results. I should look those up. That was probably like 2 years ago by now, but I supplement B12 occasionally. Like every time we go to the US, we buy one of those B12 sprays from Garden of Eden or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
And yeah, I use it until it's gone, and then I don't worry about it. Yeah, but other things, I don't supplement anything. Yeah.
Okay. Do you eat like seaweed or anything?
I do. I just had some nori tonight.
Yeah.
The seaweed variety, I really like dulse a lot, but they don't have that here in Brazil. So I'll have nori occasionally, but not like religiously or as like a supplemental mindset. I just kind of eat it whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, I like seaweed too.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I know you're quite athletic. Like what's your favorite type of like exercise and stuff to do?
Probably climbing. I
Like
love
rock
climbing.
climbing.
I think I'm a rock climber above all rock climbing. Yeah. I injured my hand, so I haven't done that for a while. So I've just been doing yoga, cycling, and calisthenics, and I'm getting back into running now.
Okay.
Not just calisthenics, but weightlifting as well. I've been doing that for the last year or month. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
tired, I think.
Is Brazil a good place for cycling?
Oh God. I mean, the drivers here, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
They don't look before they turn. They're just very aggressive. They don't. There's no like or very little like pedestrian sensitive behavior. Like they, if you're running, like, and the light's green for you, right? It says walk, right? You're gonna go across the intersection, and there's someone coming up behind you, and they want to turn right. They will hit you. Like if you don't look back at them and stop, they will just fucking run into you. Like everybody feels like they have the right of way. And as a cyclist, I've been hit a few times.
Wow.
Luckily, very minor, didn't get hurt. But yeah, it's not great for cyclists. There are areas where it's safe. There's areas that here in Curitiba, they have a lot of bus lanes that are like closed off, and you can pretty safely navigate on the bus lanes. So you're just dealing with buses every 5 to 10 minutes instead of cars constantly. There's very few bike lanes here in Curitiba, and Curitiba is considered to be one of the more bike friendly and eco-friendly cities in the country.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of like Vietnam.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of just I haven't been to Vietnam, but Thailand, thinking of that, like the traffic is crazy and they're very aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that Vietnam and Thailand should be compared as if they're the same place.
I'd say there's quite a few similarities. But
Yeah.
what country was your favorite, like during your travels, like for fruits and stuff?
Fuck. Australia and Borneo and Malaysia, probably. No, not Australia, Borneo, and Peru. Yeah.
And could you share like an experience you had there?
Yeah. We were in the Gold Coast, North Queensland in Australia, and in Cairns.
Yeah.
interviewing some people, and their farmers market there in Cairns is amazing. We're getting durian and mangosteen and jackfruit and chempedak and lots of really really great fruit. And then we also went to like a exotic fruit farm there that was really nice, and we got dabai and marang and little mini durians that were amazing, and Rollinia and uh Keladang. Have you heard that?
I
It's like
think
a
so.
it's like a jackfruit, but it's like this big, and then the fruits inside are like
Oh,
no. Keladang I think is the one that you can just eat the whole thing. You pop it in your mouth. Anyway, there's two that are pretty similar. They're in the jackfruit family, and they're very small. One that you can just eat. It's kind of like the size of a fig. I think that's Keladang. And then there's another one that has it's like a jackfruit with like a few just little morsels. You know how jackfruit and things have little pods you can eat.
it's orange
Has like
inside, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like bright, deep, dark orange. Yeah, that was really good. We had a bunch of different things there, but that was amazing. And then we've been to Malaysia a few times. Durian buffets in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Just cheap mangosteens, very good high quality mangosteens for like $1 a kilo. The last time we were in Borneo in Malaysia, we were with Lindsay, and she was just taking us everywhere. So we got 1,000 different types of durian, and like I have this picture of all the fruits we got there. Just like most people would not be able to, identify the vast
Yeah.
majority of the fruits, if any of them. The average person. That's where we overdosed on Dubai. Um, yeah, just awesome.
That's so cool. You
Um,
had she's the best tour guide to have for when you're a fruitarian.
yeah. We hope to meet up with her again. And I mean, she knows everything, man. Everything about fruits there is to know. I swear to God,
Yeah, it's really cool.
all the places to get them.
Can you tell me a little bit about your the documentary you're working on?
Yes. Did you want to hear about Peru too? Because I didn't mention that place. That was
Sure.
one of my other favorite places. It's much different to Malaysia and Australia. There's totally different like Amazonian fruits, lucuma,
Mhm.
lots of tuna or cactus fruits, um, amazing mangoes, amazing avocados that are like super sulfury. Um, I don't know. It's just a very different variety of fruits there. Maybe some of them aren't considered as exotic as some of the Asian varieties, but just really high quality, really inexpensive fruits, and like granadilla. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing cheap granadilla everywhere. We just make smoothies out of them. And
Mm.
yeah. Anyways, that's Peru. So the documentary, yeah. I've been wanting to make a documentary since 2012 about the fruit-based lifestyle, and that's actually why I went to Woodstock, because I wanted to start interviewing everybody for the documentary. And I did, and I interviewed everybody, but then I just kind of I don't know if it was too much work or whatever for me. I just kind of started creating a YouTube channel where I put up all the interviews, and that's kind of what my YouTube channel became, was just interviews with prominent people, pioneers or whatever in the raw food lifestyle. So I kind of abandoned the documentary for a long time, and then about 3 years ago, an investor came up to me and said, "Hey, let's make a documentary. I've got way more money than I know what to do with, so let's do this thing." And so we bought like super high quality cinema camera equipment and started traveling the world. And 2 years later, we've got amazing interviews and working on a trailer. It should be done hopefully by the Woodstock Fruit Festival. We're going to be showing a trailer, and then the end of the final product should be done by the end of this year. It's basically just going to be geared towards the general public, trying to get people to see fruit differently and eat more fruit, get excited about fruit, understand, get educated about, why it is great and it's optimal and all the benefits and stuff.
Definitely. I think this is so important because, coming up in the raw food community, we've had the books, we've had the,
I
YouTubers
lost.
now. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, it cut out for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you said we have I like played what you said after. Sorry. You've
Gotcha.
got the books and the YouTube videos. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it is really important to make like documentaries and movies to reach like the younger demographic now. And you
Hmm.
said you've been working on this for like over 2 years now.
Yeah, I mean, the first years, since we live in Brazil and we have animals here, a dog and two rabbits, we used to have four rabbits.
Mhm.
We've had to come back and forth. We like our family and friends would take care of the animals, so we would just go filming for a few months, come back here for a while, go filming. So to get all the interviews, it took a long time, and then when COVID hit, we were actually on our last filming trip, and we were going to film like four doctors on this trip and only got to film one of them because COVID everybody canceled because COVID hit and everybody was super scared. So I think we're done filming. COVID really put a damper on things. And just like I've been kind of depressed a little bit, and just like COVID affected me mentally. So it's also been hard to work on the documentary for that reason. But I'm back at it, and there's been delays and hiccups and stuff, but it's coming together.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you got all that footage before COVID. That's good.
Yeah, for sure. What we did get is really good, and it should be super cool.
All right, great. And I guess just finishing up, what would you say to someone who wants to start like a fruit-based diet? Like, what's your advice?
Hmm. I think the basics are buy enough fruit and make sure you eat the fruit that you buy, because I think a lot of people, first of all, they don't buy enough fruit to succeed. And then, some of the fruit might rot, and I don't know. I think don't feel like you can't eat as much as your body's asking for, but also be aware that maybe you're eating because you're eating so much because you're looking for a certain feeling that cooked food gave you, but raw foods or fruit especially will never give you. I think a lot of people in the beginning, they go through what people call a remineralization phase, where they just want to eat and eat and eat and eat. But I think that's also our mind saying, okay, I'm not full yet. And that's because we've associated fullness with that feeling of like, oh my God, I can't eat another bite. I just need to sit down and digest. Like, we associate fullness with the cooked food fullness, when fruit is never going to make you feel like that. You have to like switch this switch in your brain that says, okay, I'm recognizing satiation. I'm recognizing, my body's cues to stop eating, rather than just this feeling that I think the standard American diet has made normal to us, which is just food coma. So I think that's really helpful to be aware of, and don't beat yourself up too much about anything. There's no food out there that's so bad for you that you need to feel shame over eating it, um, unless it's an animal. Then you should feel shame. But yeah, I mean, I think when you go fruitarian, I think looking at it instead of as like, oh my God, there's nothing I can eat, I have to eat this restricted diet. Think of all the amazing options you have out there. There's a million recipe books. You can eat something different every night. And if you want to eat something else other than fruit, then make a salad. If you don't feel like a salad's like heavy enough for you, you could steam some broccoli. Or there's so many like levels that you can go back down to find some level of comfort if you're not feeling emotionally satiated by fruit. Then you can go to potatoes, or fucking God forbid, a vegan hamburger instead of eating a dead animal. You know, like
Right.
I feel like so many people just like go from like, okay, I'm gonna juice and eat nothing but supplements. I'm gonna be the healthiest, like raw vegan brewed breatharian, and then they're like, oh God, I don't feel comfortable. I'm gonna eat a fucking hamburger, and
Yeah.
you know,
The extremes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's cool. And I think,
And yeah, just be.
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say be kind to yourself. You know, don't show yourself. Don't feel guilty or shameful if you eat something that is not optimal.
Yeah. I think there is like like when you first go raw, I feel like you have to like stretch your stomach out a little bit to get used to all the
Yeah,
fiber.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just noticed in my yeah, like because there's so much fiber and water in the food, you're going to be eating almost certainly a larger volume of food. But at least I found with myself, and I've talked to other people who've experienced this, like they stretch their stomachs, and then like their stomachs stretched out, you know, they go through that phase of eating enough to, and then they're like still looking for this feeling that's never coming because it's something that comes with cooked food and not with fruit.
Right. And can you give me like what did you eat today?
We went to the gym, and then I got back and I made a green smoothie with pineapple and kale. It's collard greens, they call it kale here.
Mhm.
And then I ate a acai and pineapple and date smoothie. And then I ate some atemoyas. This was probably 4 in the afternoon or something, and then I had a big salad uh, pretty pretty recently before we started the interview.
All right.
And so it could be as much as like 4,000 calories, but I never use the chronometer or anything. I don't know. But we went to the gym and worked my ass off today, so I deserve it.
You deserve it. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rainey. Any final words to the people?
Um, I don't know, man. Uh, I think that there's a question that I've been seeing around recently, which is what advice would you give to your younger self if you could talk to your younger self with the knowledge and experience that you have now? Just make sure that with the knowledge and experience you have now, you are following the advice that you have right now. You know, like
Right.
it's basically just you know better, so keep always follow what you know to be better. But I don't know, it's not great advice, it's just the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, I think we know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right.
And go vegan.
Go vegan. There you go. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't leave yet, but I'm going to stop recording. All right. And give it a thumbs up, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys.